So hello, my name is Dr. Paul Jackson, and I'm doing interviews with some really successful Seattle residents. And today I've been blessed to have David Lanier be my guest. I met David over a decade ago at a church here in Seattle. Won't mention what church that was. That's a completely different story. But I brought Dave on because he's got a story to share. He's been through some really struggling things, some challenges he's been experiencing in his life, but he's moving on, and he has a short story to tell. So, how's it going, Dave?
Oh, good.
Nice to meet you again.
Good to see you, Doctor.
Okay, good.
Good to see you again.
All right. So,
yeah.
Elevator pitch. You know what an elevator pitch is?
No, I don't.
Okay, an elevator pitch is when you have like 30 seconds to sell yourself to whoever.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe you're somebody that has an idea of a business.
Okay.
And you get into an elevator, and there's an executive in the elevator, and so you're trying to sell yourself in that 30 seconds. And so, in 30 seconds, try and sum up. You know, you're born here in Seattle, and you went there. So.
Okay. Well, I'm David Lanier, and I'm from Seattle, Washington, born in King County, and yeah, I went to Coleman School. Was extraordinary athlete in this town. Fell on some short times, but now God's restored me, and you know, I believe that I have so much to offer right now to not just an adult, but children and women too. And I just think that I just need somebody that such as yourself, that we can get the story out there, where we can change lives.
Okay, excellent. So you mentioned do you have any brothers and sisters in your family, or just?
Yeah, I do. I've got 3 sisters now that are living. And myself, but I come from a family of 7.
7?
Yeah,
Wow.
and so I have a sister that's very sick right now,
okay.
that's on life support, but you know, we've been supportive of her,
Okay.
you know what I mean,
Right.
and it's unfortunate, but you know, like I said, I'm glad that I'm able to be there for her, especially in the spiritual way.
Exactly. Yeah, I was going to say lift up praying hands for her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, goodness. So 7, a family of 7.
Right.
And so we're talking. This is like what, in the late 60s, late 50s, when you were born at least.
Yeah, I was born in the 56.
56. Okay.
Yeah.
And so your family migrated from.
We migrated from right here. Well, my parents came from North Carolina and Austin, Texas.
Oh, wow.
Is where my parents are from.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did they meet? Austin, Texas, and North Carolina. That's.
Yeah, you know, it's you know, my father was in the service, and
right.
you know, he was stationed down in Texas down there, and that's how my mom and him met. You know what I mean? And so, you know, they hooked up, and they migrated up here to Seattle.
The rest is history.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Wow. So you've been born here all your life, so you've seen a lot of Seattle change. You know. Were you here in the Black and Tan, that club that you used to
Yes, yes,
so,
yes.
because I'm actually, one of the things I'm also doing is I've been interviewing with people who have lived here all their lives.
Yeah.
So they were born in like the 30s and 40s, and so they went through that whole experience of how Seattle was really, really. I mean, I always say that every single aspect of American culture has been affected by somebody that either born, lived, or died here in Seattle.
Exactly.
And even to this day, even though, you know, you got Quincy, you got Ray Charles, you got Bruce Lee, you've got Jimi Hendrix, you've got Nirvana, you've got Sir Mix-a-Lot, right?
Yeah.
You've got Heart, the band Heart.
Yeah.
And even to this day, there's a brother that used to be in Mactub. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's now a recording artist that's doing phenomenal things.
Wow.
And that's just the music side.
Yes.
But then you go to art, and then you go into technology. You got Microsoft, you got Boeing, you have Amazon, you got Starbucks, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So Seattle has definitely been a city that has done phenomenal things, right? So,
yeah.
so maybe you could tell me a little bit more about what it must have been like to be here in Seattle during the Jimi Hendrix era.
Well, it's ironic that you just brought that up, the Black and Tan, the 410 Supper Club.
Right.
My father, actually, a guy named B.J. Derrick, owned the 410 Supper Club.
Okay.
And my father actually used to rent a home from him.
Wow.
And so it's unfortunate he got killed in his own club down there.
Oh,
But
man.
we had, getting back to what you said, a lot of great entertainers,
Right.
a lot of history here. And growing up as a kid, I was able to see all those things.
Exactly,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
okay.
And so I got a lot of roots as far as the great music went at one time.
Okay,
you know?
okay.
And so that was a great thing. It was instilled in my spirit.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean? So,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
So I got a chance to see the great ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did the athletic part come in there?
Well, that's ironic you said it because coming from a very dysfunctional alcoholic family,
okay.
you know what I mean.
Right.
Not a lot of guidance.
Okay.
Not a lot of nutritionals of as a kid coming up.
Right.
God gave me a gift that was pretty extraordinary.
Okay.
I was a great athlete, a great baseball player, basketball player.
So all sports kind of guy.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
a great athlete,
Right,
but
okay.
what I really excelled in was the basketball and the baseball.
Okay. Okay.
I was throwing 95 miles an hour at 13 years old. And,
13. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was getting scouted by a lot of people then, and like I said, getting back to what I said, coming from a family that you didn't have a lot of guidance stuff. There were people that seen my athleticism
Right.
that took me on their wings and showed
Okay.
me somewhat of healthiness.
Okay.
You know what
That's
I mean?
good. They didn't try and take advantage of you.
Exactly.
They did not. Okay,
No,
that's good,
no,
that's
no. Actually, they were very, very good people to me. It's nothing like coming from your own DNA, though. You know.
There you go. There you go.
And so I didn't have that nurturing that I always wanted, but
Right.
I got a chance to see somewhat of healthiness.
Okay.
You know what
Good.
I mean?
That's
Yeah.
good. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay. So what high school did you graduate from?
Franklin High.
Franklin.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then you had ambition to go into college, or
I
go pro,
did.
or
I
you
did. I had ambition to go to college. When I tried out with the Kansas City Royals at 15 years old.
Okay. Okay. Stop. So you're doing 90-mile-an-hour pitches at 13,
Yeah.
and you're going to
13,
go
yeah.
pro at 15?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So go on.
Yeah. And so,
And what year is this?
this is in 72, I
72.
believe. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. And somewhere around that area, and a guy by the name of David Myers was a big shot down at St. Mary's Catholic School.
Okay.
He wanted to be my agent, so
Uh-huh.
he said, "Hey, man, let's give you a tryout with these guys. They've been looking at you, scouting you and stuff."
Wow. Okay.
And so, me coming from that dysfunction, like I told you, I wanted to go straight to the majors, and they wanted to demote me from AAA to A ball, and I
Right.
said, no, I want to be AAA.
Oh,
you
gotta
know
go
what
straight,
I mean?
right.
Yeah. So anyway, it was unfortunate, and I went to Canada to play for the California Cuties, and
Okay.
became ineligible my senior year at
Oh,
Franklin.
okay, okay.
And things just took a toll.
Wow. So it's interesting. This is like late 70s then that they're thinking about going pro from
Yeah,
high school straight
yeah,
to pro.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
nowadays, it seems like the young bucks, the young African Americans, boys, want to do that. They want to go straight, skip college, and go
Yes.
straight to pro.
Yes,
And
yeah.
our focus now is at least get them out of school. You
Yeah.
got to graduate high school at least, right?
That's correct.
And so, I mean, maybe you could talk to, in your motivational style, to have the students at least finish high school.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know.
It's very imperative that you do that, man, because you look at the athletes, you only got like 415 basketball players out of millions
Exactly.
of athletes, so your chances of making
Right.
it is 0 to none. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so the education, which I wish I was been instilled in me, going back to my nurturing days, that if that was instilled in me, you know what I mean, I would have been a lot further than I am now. But
Right.
God has a plan for
Yes,
everything.
he does. He
And
does.
it talks about that in Jeremiah 1:5.
Okay.
He knew you before you was conceived in your mother's womb.
Preach.
You know what I'm
Preach.
saying?
Yes.
So he knew it before we was even in spirit. You
Right,
know what I
right,
mean?
right.
So who's to question where God is taking us?
Exactly,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? I'm
Okay.
happy with my life today.
Wow. Okay. So obviously you tried to go pro, and you became ineligible in your high school senior year.
My senior year,
Okay.
after starting my junior year.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Was that like just partying too much, or just lost
Yeah,
of focus?
man.
or?
You know what? It's unfortunate, that when you're with a group of people and they feel that you're going to move on beyond their territory. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Then the dysfunction sets in.
Yes.
The smoking the weed and the drinking
Right, right.
and the partying with the women and
Okay.
stuff. All
Right,
that goes
okay.
along with it. And so, fortunately, I had a guy by the name of Fred Harrison that coached Asa Mercer Junior High School, who just got inducted to the Washington State Hall of Fame high school
Okay.
basketball.
Okay.
And he took me under his wings and showed me some ropes and
Right.
stuff. And, it's unfortunate that I didn't take advantage of that, because I didn't have a lot of nourishing at the time, but it goes back to the spirituality walk that God knew our journey before we even knew it.
Right,
You know
that's
what
true,
I mean?
that's
so,
true.
I can't question that.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk more about that and your K through 12 experience. Were you a church-going person, student back then? I mean,
No, you know what? I really wasn't. But you know, a lady by the name of Miss Copeland, she adopted us when my mother died. I seen my mother have a stroke in front of me and died at 8 years old. Yeah.
Okay.
She fell right in front of me and had a stroke,
Right.
and my mother died. And she adopted us,
Okay.
and it was unfortunate that. You know, she was a church-going lady, and I would go to church, and I would fall asleep every Sunday.
but you went. That's
But I
okay.
went, yeah.
Right.
And so I got glimpses of the Spirit of God, but I didn't apply myself at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, hindsight is 20/20, and not to beat yourself up and say, "Oh, I wish," but again, maybe speaking on a motivational tip to people that are watching this, the young, both men and women, young boys and girls that are watching this, maybe you could speak about how to not get blindsided or not get swept up into the culture of me. Everything's got to be bling,
You're
right? And
right,
it'll
yeah.
come to you in the sense that you wanted to go straight from graduating high school, not even graduating high school. You're going to go pro
Yeah.
and start off on the major leagues and not
Yes.
go minor and not
Right.
build your way up.
Yeah,
So maybe you
yeah.
could speak to how it takes time and it's not going to be instantaneous that you're going to be able to do
Yeah.
the things that you want to do.
Well, you know what? One thing I will say, just because you come from parents that were dysfunctional and stuff, there's other ways around it to, to have a healthy life. You know,
Right.
you can surround yourself with positive people. You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? And you got to do those school activities and stuff. That's just vital. You
Right.
know what I mean? And you can't put yourself beyond nobody. You know, and and you got to apply yourself in those books. It's just no question
Okay.
about that. You know
Okay.
what I mean? And so I just think that is the foundation that needs to be laid in order for anybody, to prosper in life. And prosperity doesn't mean
Very
me.
good.
And prosperity to me is just, getting out the way and just being that vessel for God. God said we become the light of the world. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Right,
And so I just, I believe that children nowadays can become the light of the world at just a younger age if they just apply themselves in the fundamentals of what I just talked about. Go to school on a regular basis.
Right.
And, if you're coming from dysfunctional parents and your mind is sane, speak out. Speak to someone.
Right.
Because someone will reach back to you.
That's true.
You
That's
know what I
true.
mean? Yeah.
And don't feel like you're the only one.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So, yeah, often you're not. And the fact that you reach out shows boldness in yourself, and
That's
that
true.
You're courageous.
That's true. Yeah.
That's great. So I'm Paul Jackson, Dr. Paul Jackson, talking with David Lanier, and just really having a conversation about life and about the challenges that he's gone through. I'm going through some too right now. That's another show. But yeah, just talking about how he born and raised here in Seattle, was about to go pro in baseball, but then kind of fell out. And so, again, not to bring up bad stories, but tell me about the decade or 5 years or so after you didn't get selected, and then I guess drugs and alcohol came into play, and then you got married and everything else. So,
Yeah. Well, you know what? They talk about the progression of the disease.
Right.
I started off with the alcohol, went to the marijuana,
Okay.
and I went to the hard stuff.
okay,
and then,
okay.
And things take its toll. And I happened to be with a lady that we were together from the 6th grade all the way up until I don't know the year, but we were together all 35 years.
Wow.
And I take my hat off to her because she led me to the Lord.
Right.
At the church that we were talking about, we don't want to mention. So
Okay.
she led me to the Lord, and it's unfortunate that at that time I didn't take advantage of it, but I got glimpses of what I really wanted in my life.
Right,
You know what I
right.
mean? I
Okay.
wanted that same spiritual life
Right.
that I could just be that vessel for God.
Okay,
You know what I
right,
mean?
right.
And just get out there and be that missionary that He's always wanted me to be. Because God has given me many talents, but I never focused in on one of them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And so, like I said, the journey was already written, but now that I'm focusing on where I want to be and where I want to go, with all the talents that I said I've had,
Right.
I just narrow them down. Let's deal with the one talent.
Okay, right,
You know
right,
what I
okay.
mean? So yeah.
Right. So speaking of that, let's talk about the weight loss. Let's talk about the 7.5 months you've been clean now,
Yeah.
and you lost over 100 pounds.
107 pounds.
107.
Yeah.
107 or 170?
107. 107.
107. Okay,
Yes, sir.
107 pounds.
Yeah.
Great. Excellent.
Yeah.
So, what's the routine? How do you do it?
Well, you know what? I was on like 16 inflammatory medicines, and I was going in and out of the emergency room,
Okay.
and the doctors was basically taking my life from me. You know what
okay.
I mean? Every time I had my hands swelled up or gout or something,
Right.
hypertension or something, they would give me a pill for everything.
The medical profession is not really about the cure.
Yes.
It's about sustaining yourself.
Yes, yes.
Living with the disease, not curing the disease, living with it.
Yes.
Because there's really no money in curing something. right?
Exactly.
But that's a whole nother show.
That's
going to.
true. That's
But anyway,
true.
So you got off all the medicines, and so how did you do it?
Well, you know what? A guy at the Y, he heard my story. I was out in the lobby talking, and he goes, "I charge X amount of dollars for my training."
Okay.
He goes, "But if you commit to me for 3.5 months,"
Right.
he goes, "whatever you can give me," he goes, "you miss no days.
Right.
The first day you miss, the contract's over."
Right. Okay.
So I said, I can do it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And so I committed to him, and he got my diet under
Right.
control. We got the workout regimen, and then he told me, he goes, what you've done in 3.5 months, it takes some of my clients 5 years to
5
do.
years.
He goes, you have a passion now,
Right.
a desire to work out.
Right.
He goes, some people it takes 5, 6, 7, 10 years to get there.
Wow.
And so when that happened, then I went to my doctor, had lost a bunch of weight. Then they just started taking the medicines off me.
Excellent. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right,
And so the weight just started falling off
Wow.
of me. You know
Okay.
what I mean?
Right, right.
Until when my doctor thought that I was doing the wrong things, but when he saw my regimen,
Right.
he goes, "Man, just keep doing what you're
There
doing."
you go.
You know
All
what I
right.
mean?
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. It's good
Yeah.
that you got a medical doctor that went along with the more holistic way to cure yourself.
Exactly.
And so
Yeah.
that's another thing too, because here on the West, since there's a lot of money in drugs and not
Yeah.
not the illegal drugs, I'm
Yeah,
talking about
just
prescription
prescription
drugs, right?
drugs, exactly.
I mean, you watch TV and every single commercial is about some pill, some diet
Exactly.
pill, some arthritis pill, some hair coloring pill, something.
true.
And
That's very
often
true.
the side effects are worse than the symptoms that the person has.
That's true. Yeah.
Depression.
Yes,
You're taking a
yes.
pill for antidepressant, and some of the symptoms are
Very depleted.
exactly.
And that's ironic that you said it because, I was on so many medicines. My face was swelling up so bad. My body was swelling up so bad. I got in the mirror one day and I said, my doctor had told me like 15 years ago, he said, diet and exercise, you can get off all this stuff.
Right.
And so, how we think as
Yeah.
people. Yeah, right.
Right.
You know
right.
what I
yeah.
mean?
I enjoy myself.
But, yeah.
I enjoy eating.
But I got in the mirror here a few months ago. I don't know exactly what month. And I said, God, I'm ready to do it today.
Okay.
I said, I'm ready to do this right now.
Right.
And,
Wow.
like I said, I got to the Y. I ran into this trainer. We got to getting busy, and there was a lot of the people that work out there was going to the front desk. Goes, hey man, we see a transformation in this guy we've never seen.
Right.
Who is this guy?
Right, right.
We want to get to know this guy.
Okay.
And so the staff got behind me, and we're doing some amazing things.
Okay.
With the board of directors
Okay,
up there,
okay.
and so I got a lot of people backing me. You know what I
Excellent.
mean? That. We're getting ready to take off and do some more of God's work.
Okay. When's your book coming out?
Well, it's ironic you say that because in 2 weeks I'm meeting a guy.
Okay.
We want to sit down and discuss that.
Right.
And so, like I said, a lot of doors have been opened
Wow.
up that I thought I wanted to be a barbecuer all my life. And God says, when you seek me in my kingdom,
There you
I'll
go.
add all these other things onto you.
Yeah,
You know what
that's
I'm
right,
saying?
that's right.
So, and it talks about that in Psalms 37:4, if you delight yourself in me, I'll give you the desires of your heart. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
And then my desires of my heart really is just to seek him today.
Okay, that's
You
great.
know what
That's
I mean?
excellent.
Just to seek him. And honestly, when you be obedient, he said, I'll never leave you or forsake you.
Right.
He's never done that to
Right.
me as long as I'm obedient.
Right, right.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yes.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Wow. I think that's a perfect way to close it. But
Yeah.
is there any last words you can talk about?
Well,
or-
yeah. Well, you know what? I wanted to, one thing I did want to bring up is that, I thought that I was going to really lose myself. I came out of a really bad emotional breakup, and I was losing my way, and I never reached out to people in my life before, and
Right.
so good thing God had delegated a lot of good people around.
Right.
And I started reaching them. They started calling me and praying for me.
Wow.
They knew I went through this breakup. I didn't even see it coming. But God, just go back to what he says, you know, you seek me first in the kingdom of me.
Right.
I will never let you go astray. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
That-
And so when all that happened, you know, not to say that, you know, it's over with or nothing like that. I'm not saying that. But, you know, God, he sends you different ways to bring you back as a better person.
Exactly.
You understand?
Yeah.
And so I just asked him today, God, you know, I know you're going to send me a good wife because I'm a good man.
Right.
And so it's in his hands
Okay,
today. You
that's
know
it.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, and I'm free today. I
Okay.
got peace today.
Excellent.
You know what
That's-
I'm saying?
That's beautiful.
Yes.
And what
Yeah.
what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Well, exactly. You know,
So-
if you can't go through nothing and learn something and be stronger, then what's the use of going through it?
That's true.
You know
That's
what I
definitely
mean?
True.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks, David.
Yes.
Really appreciate the conversation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anytime.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Okay. Paul Jackson, Dr. Paul Jackson, talking with some Seattle residents here, and so we'll see you next time. Okay.